Welcome to Bikini Bottom Radio.
Hi everybody, welcome to Bikini Bottom Radio. I'm apparently your host, Robert.
I'm Anthony.
Jenny.
And this week we're going to be talking about Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy. The very first appearance of both characters, as you know, indicated by the title.
Mm-hmm. I love the concept of this. I just love
the whole like 60s Batman.
Yeah, they're like old, washed up, older, tired guys.
They're so good. Like, I mean, that's like for real, based on like old Hollywood guys. The comedian, I forget who it was. It was Dana Gould, who you may know as the voice of Gex in the 90s platforming video game Gex. You probably
the gecko.
Yeah, he's that guy. So he tells a story where he, as a teenager, lived near Larry Fine, who you may know as Larry from the Three Stooges, the redheaded one.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He lived near the retirement home where Larry Fine lived, and he called it. They got the number of the retirement home, and he was like, "Mr. Fine, can we come visit?" He's like, "Well, certainly, you can come and visit." And they get there, and he's like, "Mr. Fine, you said we could come visit you." He says, "I did."
Oh God.
Because I think all of those old, like really old vaudeville Hollywood guys ended up in. I mean, they didn't get royalties or anything.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think as of right now, I think the families get money. Even then, the family of Lowe doesn't get anything. Like some weird legal thing where they don't even get any.
Oh, that's a bummer.
Official saying, like they still involve them, but like they're not entitled to any money legally.
That sucks.
So on that note. Old Hollywood's really crazy. There's a podcast called You Must Remember This or something that just talks all about old LA.
I didn't know that. That sounds really cool. Well, that's what this was sort of, not a love letter to, what it was referencing, I'd say, this episode.
So good.
What do you have for your notes?
Let's see. What do I have for my notes? Just like rant, like going through the motions. It's the 60s Batman cartoon.
Oh, yeah.
Or not cartoon, but the show. I think Burt Ward and Adam West go on to voice Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy, young versions of them in later episodes. As a fun thing, they got the two of them.
I didn't know that.
It's later, like way later, like I think maybe 6th or 7th season.
Oh, okay.
That's cool.
Yeah, that must have been really cool for the team.
I know.
To finally get the people that they were parodying.
I know. I know Tom Kenny is big on like old movies and Hollywood stuff. Like he's a big fan of that. I'm sure that was a huge deal for him.
Oh God, I can't imagine. Yeah, being able to voice act along with them.
So you just put out a new episode. I think this current SpongeBob season that actually tells the origin story of Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy.
I have seen a clip from that,
and it's really funny. And I suggest everyone watch it because it's really silly and it goes exactly as you think it would, and it's great.
Also, we should mention that this is about a week after Barnacle Boy, the voice actor for Barnacle Boy, passed away, right?
Yeah.
So this episode should be dedicated to him.
I'm sure both so happy.
We were, my parents were watching the Carol Burnett show last night on My TV.
Oh yeah.
And they had a dedication to him, and it was really because they're both.
Yeah, they're both classic actors in their own right.
So
prior to this,
yeah, the guy who voiced Mermaid Man passed away a couple of years ago,
and he was big.
Yeah.
So yeah, wow, that's really cool. That they were able to get them.
There was evil afoot, man.
Evil. I just love how that triggered him.
I know.
Just jumps onto the coral plant.
Yeah. Let's see. Let's talk about that opening sequence real quick after the fake Mermaid Man episode. Like just when they're dressed like Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy. Ooh man, Patrick in those shorts is not a good look.
No, no, not at all.
It's weird because I feel like in his normal clothes you don't really notice he has red freckles, but I feel like this episode really they're accentuated for some reason.
The Speedos are not a good look on someone of Patrick's stature.
And also the scene when Squidward's outside and he's just sunbathing.
SpongeBob.
Yeah, he has legs were open and he had a little bit of a, I don't know if I can say this, but he had a.
You can't say that. You definitely can't say that.
I can't say that?
I don't think so.
There's a dolphin noise, everybody.
Sorry. It was an acronym. You could probably guess what it was.
Ask your parents.
Yeah,
Well,
ask your
to
parents.
yourself, you're gonna have to edit that in.
Also, there's a meme right there, right when he like lifts up his sunglasses.
Oh,
and puts
yeah.
it back. That's a meme.
Oh,
Oh,
absolutely.
for sure.
Also, I do want to point out not Battle for Bikini Bottom, the other one, Curse of the Flying Dutchman. The Mermaid Man outfit was an outfit you could get in the game that gave you.
Oh, really?
It gave you water ball powers to throw at. You
Were
could,
they like
I
actual
love
water
how
balls?
there's
Yeah.
water
Or were
balls.
they like wrinkly water balls?
I think they might have been wrinkly water balls. I don't know. I think it was just like a fuzzy mass because it was a GameCube game. Like they probably didn't fully render it or whatever.
Like the water balls looked like the bubbles they made out of the souffle in the last episode.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking
Yes, 100%.
It
Yeah.
looked like the bad Bubbles Squidward
Yeah.
Blue in the Bubble Stand episode.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a lot of I feel like they kind of reused some sorts of gags they had used earlier, like the bubbles that were all wrinkly, or when SpongeBob goes on the table and just like soaks up all of that like spit he had. It was
Wait,
nasty.
And he starts sucking on the grass. Did it say grass or glass?
Glass. Why would you suck on grass?
Because he was talking about the kelp gun. So I always got it
So he
confused
would
as
have
a kid.
said suck on the kelp, not.
But
suck
kelp
on...
is like grass in this world, right?
No,
He
it's
definitely
kelp.
said glass though.
He said glass.
Yeah, but okay, in my defense, his face is on a table and it's all muffled. As a kid,
From the same person who doesn't know the words to the theme song.
Oh yeah, what do you say? Flop?
Is it flop? It's flop or plop? And at this point, I've
it's
argued.
flop.
Okay,
Fish don't plop. You don't plop a fish. They don't plop around. They flop around.
They
okay,
flop
look,
on the
here's
deck.
the thing though. I've had this argument so many times, I actually can't parse out in my head
Which
what
is
the
which.
correct because I've heard. Because
Going backwards.
yeah, it's just like, oh, I know the right one, and then I say the wrong one every single time. I just can't.
That was episode 1 that we talked about.
That was episode 1 we
Yeah.
talked about.
You
Not-
overcorrect yourself. Like you're like, no, I'm gonna get it right this time. So then you say the wrong one.
I'm
'Cause
so
you're like,
I'm so
that
overconfident.
happens. It happens to me. It
Um,
happens to all of us. It's okay.
To the best of us.
ooh, those donut rings. Ooh.
I know.
We were at a-
increasingly getting more
I know.
bites out of it.
Also, yeah, we were all of us were at a birthday thing earlier where the guy we know, Alex, he actually listens to the podcast. What's up, Alex?
Hey Alex,
What's up?
shout out.
Shout out.
And his girlfriend.
Hey,
What's up?
hey Caitlin.
What's up?
But yeah, they had donut cake.
It was like 2 giant donuts stacked on top of each other with a bunch of little donuts all around.
And like frosting in the middle of it. And I'm like,
Ooh,
there's an idea.
One of the donuts I had, one of the tiny donuts was like a blueberry frosting donut. It was so good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like the one that I picked up, I thought it was like chocolate, but then I bit and I'm like, oh, this is a blueberry donut.
That was a quality.
Those are some of my favorite donuts. Is the blueberry frosting donuts.
I wonder if it was homemade or if they like got it from somewhere.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Okay.
I mean, I feel like the little donuts around will look like they were from like one of those like homemade donut maker things.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Okay, so everyone, listen to our cooking podcast.
Coming
We
soon.
do have Binging with Babish up on the TV in my living room right now.
Yeah,
because
because for the next episode, for the pickles episode.
Yeah.
Anthony had never seen the pickle. We'll talk about it next episode. Wait 2 weeks on your end. Same Mermaid time, same Mermaid channel.
There you go.
Uh,
I feel like there's not a lot to talk about with this one, just
No,
because it's so.
This is a bunch of good gags. But
Yeah.
even then, I feel like the story isn't super strong.
It
even.
isn't. It ends. It just ends. It
Also-
sort of just ends.
I've got a lot of notes for it, but it's legit just like this happened and this happened.
Hey,
and this
remember
happened.
when this happened?
Also,
I do too.
Okay,
Remember?
calm down, Chris Farley. Remember that time you were in the Beatles? And,
You remember?
also this is just
Mhm.
okay. Let's go a different direction. The part where SpongeBob, like where Squidward's talking to SpongeBob in his house, and he's like, "Elaborate, you vile fiend."
yeah.
Like, I love that line, and I try to incorporate that into my life as much as possible.
And it's like the downward shot too. He's
Yeah.
like looking all regal and like, whoa.
like whenever
Like
my,
it's
whenever-
from underneath.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
like whenever my dad will tell me something, like he'll be like, "Oh, like when are you?" Like, "Oh, I have to go to work soon," and I'm like, "Oh, elaborate, you vile fiend." He'll just kind of
There's
look at
a-
me and be like, "Whatever."
If you don't know what that comes from, it sounds really rude.
Yeah, it does.
my family's like,
Your family's silly.
we call each other hobos and garbage people and trash people, and we're just kind of a silly
Trash
family
Yeah.
who we just insult each other, and that's how we love each other. So
It's
like,
nice.
It's fun.
But it's a couple things I want to talk about during that open when they're playing Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy, the summon face when they summon the jelly, they summon in quotation marks the jellyfish.
Faces.
Just like I'm like, oh, this is animators had a lot of fun with that
And
one.
those noises.
Yeah, the
were
noises too.
Uncomfortable.
And then the scared face when they're waiting inside. It's like, he's discovered our secret lair. Like, Patrick in the background has really wide eyes. Probably because he's so far in the background, they need to do that to understand what his emotion was. But, like, huge eyes.
Also, speaking of Patrick in the background, when SpongeBob is... what was he talking about?
So later on, after they've met Mermaid Man, Barnacle Boy, and they get kicked out because they, like, triggered
old man
war story or whatever.
PTSD.
Yeah.
And also probably because some of the fish were complaining because like they were sucking on random tables.
Just jumped on their table.
Disruptive.
But he's like, old people are the best. They blah blah blah. But like just halfway through that speech, Patrick in the background
just decides to mimic him.
He's for no reason. That was confusing me. I was like, that's a funny gag. It's a really memorable
and he's like
scene.
slightly delayed too. Every time he would do something, he'd be like, huh?
And then the fireworks. Ooh, fireworks. And not to mention, did you say that was the voice of Mermaid Man dressed as like the old captain guy?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. What else
What?
That voice of Mermaid Man.
You vile fiend.
When they like the one part of the one like live action part where it's just like it was just an old man, like old sailor guy, like thumbs up.
He's
that
dressed
was
as like
the
a
voice.
ship captain.
That was the voice of Mermaid Man.
Oh, that's
Who's
funny.
what's his name again?
Ernest Borgnine.
Huh. What? So, like, I'm not well versed in like older TVs and movies. Those were both like big comedy actors. The two voices, right?
Oh yeah, he is.
Because just from the voice of Barnacle Boy passing this past week, like I learned that he was on the Carol Burnett show, and I knew that was like a big older like.
He was a Navy SEAL.
Wow.
That's funny because now he's in SpongeBob, where he's basically still a Navy SEAL.
Ish, kind of.
Yeah.
In water. I don't know. There's something there.
There's a joke there.
There's something there.
Also, the newspaper that the guy at the front desk of the retirement home is reading, like, what was that headline
The
again?
headline was actually a play on words because it was like, what was it? It was like school
dropout rates.
School dropout rates increase, but school could also be like a school of fish.
Oh. Did you read that on the Wikipedia thing?
No, it came from a noggin. Just don't go down too far and read it on Wikipedia.
I don't know what you're talking about. Not like I've got it open right now and I could just... I'm too lazy.
It's no, but because I was like, that's weird, but then I was like, oh, it's like a school of fish.
That's funny.
It's funny. Also, just another thing about the like scenes where they're at the old folks' homes is when they go and they get the food, which by the way is really funny. 'Cause he's like, to the meatloaf, to the broccoli.
Be sure to give some more to my young ward. Here you go, son.
to that always kind of freaked me out as a kid because like it was just like it looked like a typical like lunch lady, but then just it was just such like a sad man's voice. Like, this is my life, and I'm like, did he just dress up as a lunch lady?
Wazowski.
Yeah.
Does he just have like a really like manly voice? Like I'm not sure.
Did you ever watch Muppet Treasure Island?
No.
There's a Muppet. There's not even a Muppet. It's just a character. Her name's Sweetums. And it's just this, like, woman character who has, like, the manliest voice, and that's the joke. And it always reminded me of that in Muppet Treasure Island.
I've only seen the first Muppet movie and the second one with the guy from How I Met Your Mother.
Oh.
The
Neil
reboot.
Patrick Harris?
Soft reboot. No.
Oh, no. The
Marshall.
other guy. Yeah. I don't know what his name is.
That guy.
Him.
Yeah, we used to watch Muppet movies a lot. Like, we'd go to the theaters. They'd have, like, $2 kid movies at, like, 10 a.m. and we would go and see it. And they'd always show the Muppets.
I love that. Like, I watched it as an adult, but that Muppet, the first one from the 70s is so good. Like, the animation tests are really silly because they were... Quick aside, Jim Henson and Frank Oz, voice of Fozzie Bear, they didn't know if the Muppets would actually look good in the real world.
Have you been watching Defunctland?
No.
Oh,
I'll check out whatever you're talking about later, but... they do animation tests out in like just like fields and like stuff because they want to make sure the Muppets would actually look good.
They were just shooting the crap.
And they're like improvising, and Fozzie's like, yes, a bear in its natural habitat, and Kermit says, Fozzie, you're not a real bear. What do you mean? How many bears do you know that have a magenta nose? It's really silly, and I think you can even see like the Muppets shaking from like they're laughing at themselves. It's so dumb.
Yeah,
that's great.
It's a great test. Well, I think that we've reached the end of that.
Wait, no, I have one more thing.
Okay.
One more thing.
I've got a lot more.
Oh, never mind.
This is more just a generalization of Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy's roles in SpongeBob, because I've always been confused. So were they like real heroes, and like did they just reenact what they did? How did they get the villains in the show? Or were they just like...
Yeah, because they're still wearing their
'Cause-
outfits.
and-
And like they have powers, and like later, you know, they'll introduce like some of the villains and like the...
And they're real threats. They're real
yeah.
actual
I
villains,
think
like the
they're
Dirty
just a
Bubble.
reality
And
show.
so it's like, yeah, so it's like, is it just like a reality show with like cheesy
I think so.
like noises? Like I was always really confused by that, because like,
Bam.
so they're like living it, but they're also like not.
Yeah,
I
and then
don't
they're
know.
just immediately back onto television in the end. Like they're just back
Yeah.
on TV.
Like, so
I gotta
what?
fix the phone.
And why
Remind
aren't
me.
and why aren't their villains old?
It's a good point. Why
Well,
isn't
okay, the Dirty Bubble's
old?
just a bubble.
But like why
Man-
isn't
Oh,
like,
Manta Ray.
Ray?
They are old because he was frozen in solid tartar sauce or whatever.
Okay.
And in the second premiere, the one where SpongeBob gets the conch or whatever, or the horn, and then he's like riding around with them, like whatever that one movie is. The one where the guy goes on a ride along. I don't know. It's like a comedy movie.
I'm just gonna.
This is anyway.
I'm gonna just keep all that in.
I don't know what you're talking about.
But
I'm gonna add artificial pauses
but-
even more.
don't make it worse
Please
than
do.
it is.
Please do.
Include
Make that whole thing like
Actually-
20 minutes.
do that, and then include the unedited version at the very end,
Yeah,
right after the theme
worse.
song. Damn, I can't do this again. I can't actually. I need to keep vamping. I'm vamping.
Second episode?
Oh, the second episode. Yeah, because he's like, look, that was the toxic flounder. He used to be the, and he's an old man, but he still has powers.
I'm fully get it, like George. Okay, sorry.
Jenny had a pen in her ear.
Like just sticking out.
Harry Potter. When George loses an ear. Okay, sorry. It's a little. I'm tired. I haven't gotten much sleep.
Okay, I'm gonna rapid fire through the rest of my notes. Pat's really sweaty when he sees Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy for the first time. All these people are really old. The evil thing is funny. What is Mermaid Man saying as he's having his evil conniption? And he's
I think-
he's holding onto the coral
I
and
think
like
he's
this.
just having flashbacks, like generic
To evil.
generic background
But
noise.
I'm so like he's not even saying words because I can't understand what he's saying.
like SpongeBob. I feel is one of those shows that if you really listen, the background characters are always saying words. We talked about this earlier in the scene where I don't know, SpongeBob and Patrick were cheering on Squidward, and they're like, "Yeah, with the jellyfish." It was like, "Way to go, Pat!" Yeah, like if you really listen to like Patrick, he's like, "Yeah, way to go, Squid! You can do it!" Like they're actually saying words, but sometimes they're just kind of incoherent because it's like just generic white noise in the background. So I don't think it's supposed to be like heard. It doesn't. I don't think it changes the meaning of the story.
Interesting. Also, just Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boys deliver. Like, it's funny that they're two old comedy actors because I think the two of them work really well together. Like, my favorite scene between the two of them in this episode, he's like, "Be careful, they might have some nefarious purposes or whatever." And like, "Boy, don't worry." And then Barnacle Boy's just like, Would you stop calling me boy?" Like it's that I think is my favorite line actually in this entire episode.
Definitely comedy.
That's real improv between two older comedy actors. The creatures of the deep seem to have lost their luster.
Yeah.
Also, my favorite part's probably like when just everything's getting escalated, and then the guy comes in and is like, "What are you doing?" And then he's like, "I now pronounce you man."
That's perfect. That's
Yeah.
every scene in the retirement home I think is actually so good.
Gold.
Great. And the
Did you reunite
the
our heroes? No, but I got married.
The music and I feel like the music is really on point for this episode. Like it's so perfect for every scene.
Fits the mood.
Yeah, and it really does make it feel as if it's an old like show, like an old Batman and Robin show. Like it's just but with their own like underwater Hawaiian flair.
Yeah. It was
like,
a good one.
perfect.
Also, when he's like, "Stop, you old coot," and they're all old, it cuts in on their faces, and they're like yelling at each other, and he's like, "We painted your invisible boatmobile," and that blank happy stare, that just like old man not there.
You should put that in the Instagram post as part of it.
That's for sure will be.
Yeah. Because that is a great face.
I mean, they probably just did that just so they didn't have to animate him. But like,
It worked though.
It works so well.
I always love to watch that in like shows. I always like to see like when they try to cover their mouths or like when they don't move because I'm like they're just saving time for animation.
Yeah, Jenny and I like watch anime and like there's so many
Right.
scenes in anime where it's just
Still,
nothing is moving.
still, but
Nothing
the mouth is
mo-
moving. Maybe
Not even
Their
like
mouth, or
it's,
like their
it's
mouth
from the
mouth
the
covered.
person who's talking. It's behind them, and they're talking to the main characters who are all looking at you. And then it's just a slow pan of a single. So you gotta save money for them big fight scenes.
right.
Yeah, it's fun. It's great. And also another money saving tactic in anime is they just have so many flashbacks. Where it's like half the episode is just flashbacks and recaps and
One of my
it's
favorite
like okay.
animes is My Hero Academia, and I think I've talked about this so much with Jenny. I'll keep it brief. Don't worry. They got better at it, but like there was one arc where they were like in a big training ground and like bad guys invade, and like half of those scenes are just like flashbacks to earlier. And I'm like, this is too much. They didn't do it as much after that, but I was like, this is way too much.
Do you agree, Christine?
What?
Never mind. My girlfriend's here. She watches that show.
She's on the couch.
No problem.
But no, I mean like especially like a show like Naruto, like half the show is just recaps and then there's like a battle or like Dragon Ball Z, it's all recaps or it's like okay, they're about to fight and then you learn their entire backstory for like 4 episodes and it's
Even
I'm
though
like,
about to fight you, man who then it just goes into the
Now
whole
I need
back.
to make you important to the audience.
it's like, when I was a baby no one loved me and then it's like montages of them being sad and it's like okay, but like now you're evil and killed millions of people, so like I
Right.
don't care. So it's just I just think it's just funny, and I always like to watch like ways shows save money. Like I just told Robert, like Disney Channel shows always have extras that like go out of their way to not talk, so they don't get paid extra money.
Oh yeah. You have to
Like-
pay them like SAG minimum
Once they actually talk.
Yeah, if they talk.
So like, oh, this is my new girlfriend, and they'll just like be like smiling and like really widely and nodding instead of being like, yeah, hi, nice to meet you. Like they'll be
Anything
like,
but talking.
pretty much like
All right.
it's
You got-
ridiculous.
You guys want to move on to most useless trivia and then we can wrap this up?
Yes, yes, I do.
I have one.
What?
Man, I just had it and I freaking forgot it.
I lost it.
Oh, this is the first episode in the Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy series.
No Sherlock. That's
Yeah.
how that works.
Yeah. Thank you.
I'm giving you that. Yeah. For giving me such a bad piece of trivia.
That's the point of the segment.
Yeah, but it's that bad.
I have okay, you go, Robert.
No, you go. I
No,
feel like
you
I'll
go.
have accidentally picked the same one
No,
as
you go.
Well, you're looking at my screen, so I'm
You
gonna...
go.
When Mermaid Man picks up the phone during the game of checkers, the phone's ringtone is the same sound effect used for number 11 of the 13 bad words in Sailor Moon.
Number 11.
Yeah.
Wow, what a great trivia.
Aren't there only 7? Not if you're a sailor.
I have trivia.
Trivia.
I have trivia. Sorry, but there's lots of B's with Barnacle Boy, so I was just looking at B. This episode premiered on Steven Hillenburg's 38th birthday.
Hooray.
Cool.
Oh, that's a good one. It's definitely not mine. I feel like mine is at least semi-tangent related.
Tangentially related. Mine's kind of just like, yep, this is his birthday.
Yeah. I don't know.
What was yours again?
Mine was that this was the first episode in the Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy series.
That's just like,
This is dumb.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, I think I gotta give it to... I'm giving it to Anthony.
It's useless.
Because it's not trivia. That's how it works.
oh, it's okay.
That's like the Canada one, which again is also
okay.
on here.
Actually, no. You know what? No, I gotta give it to...
Oh, you
I'm
gotta
gonna
give it to your
Jen.
fiance. Yeah, all right.
No, what does Christine think?
He knows how to stay safe.
How to
Because
say-
you're going to leave.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you know whose bed you're sleeping in tonight.
If anyone can hear me, I'm being kept in an underground facility. No, I don't want to go back to the upside down.
And that's the end of the episode.
Okay, everybody, thanks for listening. This has been Bikini Bottom Radio. Follow us on Instagram at Bikini Bottom Radio. Same on Twitter.
Also just,
Find us on Facebook and Patreon. Email us at bikinibottomradio@gmail.com. Anything else?
yes, Barnacle Boy, you will be missed.
Oh, yeah.
He's with Mermaid Man now.
Fighting evil in heaven.